Alright, so first what I'm gonna have y'all do is, the people in this kind of row over there, shift over here. So y'all can close your computers. You're done learning for the day. I hope y'all learned something from me too. But close your computers, please. Shift over here. So I want y'all to fill in these spots over here. So the first and the second row over here, y'all fill these rows up. So we're all in one space. And if y'all can, I'm gonna give y'all a sheet of paper. Sorry about that. So, if y'all can't take out a sheet of paper, I'm gonna have y'all write down like 3 or 4 things. Y'all can cut it in half too if y'all want to share it. Sheet of paper and a pen and a pencil. By show of hands, who's a junior, who's a senior? So juniors, raise your hand. Okay, seniors. Awesome.
Oh, let me make this point, juniors, y'all have to have that vaccine on file by when? Do y'all remember?
Never.
Okay, I don't know either. Y'all need to check over that.
I need a pencil.
If you need just a regular movie pencil, I'll have some of those.
No.
I have this, I don't know if it works.
Hey, y'all need this pen too. Sorry. Let's see if I can get another one for you. And when you have both your paper or pen or pencil, go ahead and look up at me, give me your eyes, okay? Alright, so I'm going to go around the room, right? So I'm going to tell you all a little bit about myself after you all. But first I want you to introduce yourself, right? I want you to tell me your name, okay? Where you're from. You got a sheet of paper right here? Make sure y'all write this down, because when it gets to you and you don't know, you're going to feel embarrassed. And I'm going to just be like, wow, I'm going to do this one. Alright, so name first, where you're from, your favorite hobby, and what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, what do you want to be when you're older? Y'all are really close to graduating now, so you should have an idea. However, if you don't know yet, just say, I'm unsure. Because when I tell you all a little bit about myself, even after I graduated high school and when I was in college, I still didn't know what I wanted to be, okay? And that's completely fine. So when y'all have those 4 things written down, look up at me, and then we'll go ahead and start.
Will you repeat the questions one more time?
Okay, so on a sheet of paper, write down first, what's your name, where you're from, what do you want to be when you get older, okay? And your favorite hobby, but say your favorite hobby before,
Oh, okay. I'll leave it.
Sorry about that, yeah.
No.
So yeah, different than we did last time, just to save some time, okay? Because we only have an hour. Alright, so whenever it's your turn to present, please stand up, speak confidently. You all are juniors and seniors, so you're a little bit older. I know you're still nervous, but hey, nobody's going to bite you, alright? So we'll start, let's see, we'll start the back side over there, or matter of fact, probably easier, we'll start here.
Ashley?
We'll start here, and then we'll go like a snake, right? Anyway, you ready?
My name is Ashton Brewer. I'm from Hart County. My hobby is basketball, and I want to be an underwater welder when I grow up.
You said an underwater welder? Nice, man. What position do you play in basketball?
Point guard.
Can you
Nice.
swim, Ashton?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
I
Yeah, so what does that even look like? Do you have to, like,
It's just like
you have special gear to do it underwater? Or? Man, like, how do they, I mean, because welding deals with fire, right?
Yeah.
So how do you even do that?
They have like a
underground?
thing around.
Okay.
It's like
Understand, yeah.
it's like regular welding on top, it's just underwater.
Underwater. You probably get paid even more too for the hazards, right? That's dangerous. Cool. Pleasure to meet you, man. Next up.
My name is Jada Priscilla.
Can't hear you.
My name is Jada Priscilla, and I'm from here, and I really don't always like to go other places, but it's like new places.
Okay.
And then I want to be an X-ray technician.
You want to be an X-ray technician?
Yeah.
Awesome. Pleasure to meet you. That's an awesome career field too. You ready?
I'm Lucas Smith. I'm from Jefferson, Georgia, and I enjoy the lake. I'm not sure.
Okay, you're unsure. That's completely fine. Pleasure to meet you, man.
My name's Danny Childers.
Say that one more time. Sorry about that. I just couldn't hear you.
My name's Danny Childers. I'm from
Okay.
Hart County. I run cross country, and I'm going in for underwater welding.
Nice. What event, Arvin, do you have specific events in cross country? What's your best time?
Right now at 18:45.
Man.
How far do y'all go?
3 miles.
3 miles.
better yesterday?
That's tough, man. I did cross country some in college, and I lost so much weight. It's tough. You know, it's mind over matter, right? It's you versus you. So,
Do you puke when you?
hats off to you. All right, next.
My name's Cicely Cooper, and I moved from Ohio whenever I was in fifth grade.
Wow.
And I like reading, and I want to be a physical therapy assistant.
Nice. So when you were in Ohio, did you like the cold? Are you a fan of the cold, or
It's boring.
you said you don't like the cold? It's boring.
Yeah.
Everything's just white and bland, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're glad to have you here in Georgia. So you can consider you a Southern Belle now, yeah? All right, next up, or sorry, right there, and we'll go this way. One second, we can't hear you,
Look, the hater's on his.
Speak up for us.
I can't hear you.
So you want to be a pediatrician? Nice, and you like kids then? You don't like kids? Why do you want to be a pediatrician then? That's all you're going to see is kids. Why do you want to be a pediatrician then? All right, chill. Why do you want to be a pediatrician? You don't know? Okay, that's fine. Are you planning on going to school after you graduate? Okay, cool. Well, what I recommend is that you try some different things, and trust me, there are so many other opportunities out there. You don't have to be a pediatrician if you don't want to. All right. Next up.
My name is Jalen Everhart, and I was born in Georgia, and I want to be an entrepreneur. My favorite hobby is working out.
Okay, working out, nice. So you say you want to be an entrepreneur. Do you have an idea of like what business?
I just want to be
Say it again. You say you just want to be rich. Okay, cool. What's the reason? What's the reason why you want to be rich? Yeah, flew over there.
I want to have like a few cars, get off.
Okay,
I like
nice. Okay, next up.
My name is Asia. I'm from Harlow, and I like cooking and I want to be a nurse.
Nice. What's your favorite meal to cook?
Chicken Alfredo.
Chicken Alfredo? Ooh, I love me some chicken Alfredo. Nice. You have a favorite restaurant by chance? Okay, awesome. Thank you. You ready?
My name is Eduardo Barron.
Say that one more time. Eduardo or?
Eduardo Barron.
Eduardo? Pleasure to meet you. Mucho gusto.
I'm from Harlem. My favorite hobby is like soccer.
Okay. Are you on a soccer team here?
I was, but I never played team.
Oh, why not, man? What happened?
I want to play.
You say you don't like playing? That's
Are you
okay.
working?
No, it's called work.
What position did you play then? Striker or?
It's called center.
Okay.
And it was called I want to be an electrician.
An electrician.
Yeah.
Nice, man. We need more electricians. Thank you. You ready? If you don't hoop, I know something wrong. I know you do, right? You're a hooper.
My name is Demario Sadler. I'm from Georgia.
Are you related to Dre and Tater?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. I played ball with them. Football and basketball.
My favorite hobby is basketball, and I want to be a real estate agent.
Real estate agent. I like it, man. A lot of money in that field, and
Would y'all trust Delmario to sell you a house?
I would.
Y'all would, for real? I
He's
just,
convincing.
I mean, he's got the people skills, but I
Come on
just,
in.
okay.
And if anyone can just fill her in on kind of what we're doing by the time it gets to her so she can know. All right?
Your name, where you from?
You ready? Can you beat Dre in basketball?
For me?
Yeah. I feel like you look familiar, man. I might have seen you when we were younger. Can you beat him? Yeah. Dre? All right, you ready, man? Come on. I'll walk you through it. Stand up. Yeah, you gotta stand up. It's all good, man. Yes, all right, so what's your name? Arthur? Where were you born? Where are you from? So you're from Georgia, what part? Here in Hartwell or different part? Athens? Okay, nice. The Clark County area or? Okay, cool. What's your favorite hobbies? What do you enjoy doing? Are you on the football team? Okay. What do you enjoy doing? Listening to music, hanging out with friends? Okay, cool. What do you want to be when you grow up? You don't know yet? That's alright, man. That's alright. And you're a senior? Okay. Let's talk, man. Thank you, Arthur. Alright, next up. You ready?
My name is Justin King. I'm originally from Franklin County.
Franklin County. I was just there yesterday. Nah, man. It's a good county.
Anyway, I just work, so I really don't have money.
Say that one more time.
I just work on time, so I don't have money.
Is work okay? What do you do for
Work
work?
can be your hobby.
Work,
I
yeah.
do like welding on the side, and I
Okay.
like
welders in here.
Yeah. Need more. We need more. Thank you, man. Are you ready? Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Say the T. I'm from Harvard.
One more time.
Say the T.
Say it. Teasley?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I'm from Harvard.
Are you related to Trey Teasley?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We played football together.
Kool-Aid?
That's his brother.
I like
Are you
playing.
serious?
Yes, I swear.
Man.
That's his brother.
A lot of y'all, man, I went to school with your siblings. Like, they'll know me, you know. So,
Cool.
all right.
I like to play the game.
You like to play the game?
I want to be a real estate agent.
Real estate agent. So both of y'all. Okay, nice.
We flipping houses together.
Looking at houses together. It's a great field, right? And it needs more people that, you know, look like us, right? That's cool. Okay, next up.
My name is Corey Burton. I'm from Harvard. I like fishing, and I'm not for sure.
Related to Coach Burton?
I think so.
Man.
For sure.
That's crazy. Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you. Next
Bro,
up,
you touch me at that.
My name's Fernando Rangel.
Fernando. Nice to meet you, man.
I was born in Florida. I moved here in 4th grade.
Do you know what part of Florida?
Palm Beach.
Palm Beach. Okay.
My favorite hobby is playing sports.
Sports, soccer, or what do you like to play?
Soccer. I like running and stuff.
Okay. Is quick question for you. Do you consider soccer football or actual soccer? It say it's a real football?
Yeah, I just play.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to be a nuclear engineer.
Nuclear engineer.
Where do you go?
That's awesome.
Where?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that's awesome. Wait, so let me tell you, so nuclear engineer, do you plan on going to college first or just going straight in to the Navy? Going straight in? Okay.
They'll send me to college.
Okay, they'll send you, okay, cool. I was gonna say, cause like if you do go to college first and then you go into the Navy, you can go in as a commissioned officer. And you can make a lot of money doing that. But no, that's great. Keep that up. So you like science, you like technology? Cool. That's a growing field and it's only gonna continue to expand. Next up,
My name is Eli Reisman.
you said Eli,
Eli Reisman.
okay.
And I'm from Hartwell. Hobby is Raiders. It's a sport.
Okay.
Over there to see.
What do you, what sport?
It's Raiders.
Okay.
Obstacle courses and stuff. Is that what you would say Raiders is? Don't y'all do tug of war and climb walls and stuff? No, I'm serious.
It's like obstacle runs.
Yeah,
Mud runs, stuff like that?
that ain't for the weak, man. Yeah, you have to have strength, but you have strength and endurance, you know, so that's cool. How long have you been doing that?
All 4 years.
Okay.
And then what I would be is architect.
An architect, engineer in the Navy. Awesome, so is your plan to do the same thing, go straight into the Navy and then, or do you wanna go to school first, get your degree, and then go in as a commissioned officer potentially? What's your plan?
I was gonna go to college first.
Okay.
And then go to commission officer.
Awesome. What, have you looked into any colleges yet?
Yes, GMC
GMC.
and research.
GMC is in Middle Georgia, right? Okay. I'm from that area, so I'm very familiar with GMC.
And I plan on doing a certain scholarship. Let's go to UNG.
There we go. Y'all make sure you look out for these scholarships. Like I know it seems like it's extra work, but a lot of people, they'll pay you to go to school. College is expensive, but if you can get the right fellowship or a scholarship, it'll pay for it. So, good job.
My name is AJ Smith. I'm from Stevens County.
Stevens County.
My favorite hobby is wrestling. Actually, I have a tournament in 2.5 weeks. What I want to do in my life, I either want to be a teacher, a wrestling coach, or some type of personal trainer.
That's awesome, man. And you know, wrestling, he has that low center of gravity. I wouldn't mess with that man, like seriously. Like
Have you
maybe
seen his?
five, you got the wingspan, but he gets you on that ground, it's over. Alright, next up.
Andrew Sanders.
You say Andrew?
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you, Andrew.
I'm from Harvard. I work, and I don't know a little bit.
Okay, that's okay. What do you do for work right now?
Cutting grass and bush hogging.
Okay. Could you see yourself getting your own landscape business?
No.
No? You don't enjoy doing it? Okay, that's fine. Thank you for introducing yourself, Andrew. Next up.
My name's Nicole. I'm from Hartwell. My favorite hobby is Raiders, and I want to be an anesthesiologist in the military.
A geologist?
Anesthesiologist.
Anesthesia? Okay, anesthesiologist. Yeah, that's a tough word to pronounce, but that's a great field too.
How many
Yeah.
years of school is that, do you know?
Like
Like
12?
12.
12?
Yeah,
12
like
years of school?
Doctoral.
Wow, so have you already started looking at different programs and everything? Okay, keep going. I always get scared before I get put under anesthesia. Great job. Next up.
Hey, I'm Mario Martin, from Hartwood, Georgia.
Okay.
Hobbies football and track, and I want to be a physical therapist.
Physical therapist, nice. I used to want to be a physical therapist too. So, and you said you play sports too, right? What sport?
Football and track.
Man, y'all got EC this week, right? You ready? Y'all better beat them. Next up.
I'm Richard Sanchez.
Nice to meet you.
I'm from Franklin. My hobbies are drawing and shooting. And what I want to be, I want to join the Marines.
Okay.
After that, be a business owner and a boxer.
And a boxer?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Nice, man. That's ambitious. do you train right now or?
When I have time, yes.
Okay, and you say you like to shoot, you like shooting guns?
Yeah.
What's your favorite gun to shoot?
The AR-15.
The AR-15. Okay, nice.
Got a switch.
Nice.
Yeah, I do too.
Alright, next up. You ready? I like your hair. It's really nice.
My name's Samantha Todd. I'm from Hartwell. My hobby would probably art.
Art?
Not sure what I want to do.
So you take Miss Ayers? Love Miss Ayers. So I actually have a tattoo on my chest, and Miss Ayers actually drew it for me. Yes. Thank you for sharing. It wasn't. This is actually my first one. The chest wasn't. Oh, never mind. Closer to the it hurts. It hurts.
My name is Dylan Manley.
Nice to meet you, Dylan.
I'm from Hartwell.
Okay.
Like working on cars. I want to be an automotive body painting technician.
Listen, I'll send you my card, if you can fix it and hook it up. Thank you for sharing. Last one? So, I'll walk you
The
through it.
questions are on the screen too.
Yeah.
My name's Abby. I'm from Hartwell,
Okay.
and I like traveling. And then when I get older, I want to join the Air Force for cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity, that is a growing field, especially like right now, everything is going digital. So you're gonna make a lot of money doing it, but it's also, you're gonna learn a lot too. So have you started looking at different programs or?
No, I'm with a recruiter right now for the
Okay.
Air Force.
For the Air Force? Okay. Just make sure that whatever you do, they pay for your schooling, because you
Yeah,
shouldn't have to
they
pay for it. Good. Well, listen, y'all are very impressive. It's good to meet y'all. You can go to the presentation now. Saudi Arabia. I actually just got back from Saudi Arabia last week, so I've only been in the U.S. for a week now. And I was like figuring out like what's the best way like I can give back to my community and also like educate people that come from the rural like South. The southeast of the U.S. is often like forgot about in terms of like the federal government. So I wanted to come down here and talk to you all a little bit about like myself, like what I've gone on to do, and like share with you all. All right, so this is me on a camel, my first time ever riding a camel. So what's funny is I've ridden a camel, but I've never ridden a horse before. So I got to ride a camel before I got to ride a horse. You can go to the next slide, please. Come on in. Take a seat, wherever you want to. Just not on the far corner, so we can all stick together.
Nobody, sir.
Nobody. Okay, so I'm going to give you all a quick overview. So all of these pictures in my presentation, I've taken myself. I've been to these places, and I'll tell you exactly where they've been. Someone said they like to travel. Well, you're really going to enjoy this presentation. So this is the Yucatan Peninsula and Cozumel. So I flew in, and I took this picture. So how the presentation is going to go is first, I'm going to give you background. Like, where am I from? Like, who am I? And kind of like how the slides will go. Second, I'm going to give you some lessons learned throughout my life. And also just some advice for you all moving forward, because y'all are seniors right now. Juniors and seniors, your life is about to like speed up very, very quickly. So from this point, for like K through 12, most of your life is guided. But once you hit 18, ultimately you make the choices now, right? So I'm going to kind of help steer y'all in the right direction, I hope, and just help you understand that your life is your responsibility. And only you can make these decisions, right? These next choices that you make, they're going to impact the rest of your life, all right? And then thirdly, I'm going to tell you all about the United States and what a privilege it is to live in this great country. There's a reason why people risk their lives to get here illegally. And there's a lot that we take for granted as Americans. Everywhere I've traveled, people look towards the United States. All of our news, everything that's happening, people are always on the edge of their seats because the United States is a leader of the free world, okay? So y'all need to take advantage of these opportunities that are just given to you. just being born here is such a blessing. And I know my immigrants in the classroom understand what I'm talking about. Okay, next slide.
Wait, you gotta tell them about the plane. Did they
Oh.
know that's a plane?
Yeah, so this is a plane, you know, I was on the plane and I took the picture. But yeah, this, yes. And I'll tell you all, honestly, like I'm terrified of planes. I don't like flying. I've been to 14 different countries and I had to fly to get to every single one of them. I have bad anxiety when I get on a plane. Anytime it gets to shaking or I hear a sound that I don't like, I'm on that plane terrified. But sometimes in life you have to do what you're afraid of. You have to lean into that. And the best things in life are often on the edge of that fear. And like your fears are just an illusion. Once you conquer your fear, you're just like, man, that wasn't so bad, right? Fear of talking. I used to be afraid of speaking to people. Now I look at you all and like, y'all could be my younger brother, right? My sister. So yeah, that helps you kind of get over that fear. And once you do it, you keep doing it, and you realize like, man, it wasn't so bad and I like it. All right, next
So I
slide.
gotta know, were you seated next to the window?
I was seated next to the window.
Okay, so you
That
didn't have
was
to
one of the
look
very
around.
first flights too. And my thing is, I'm gonna tell you all these places that I've been to, but it's really only been the last 5 years because like I grew up poor, right? I grew up in the country. I didn't have access to all this stuff. Sports was my life, as I'm gonna tell you all pretty soon. Next slide. Okay, so who am I? Who's this curly hair? Who's this guy, right? I look like an old man, but I'm really not that old. Okay, I'm 25 years old. I graduated high school myself 7 years ago. That's not long. I know some of y'all might be saying, man, that's a long time. But you remember when you were in elementary school and then looking up to these high schoolers like, man, they're so old. It's going to be forever until I get there. And then now y'all are here, right? Time goes by very, very quickly. So yes, I'm only 7 years older than the majority of y'all in here. Okay? I'm originally from Fort Valley, Georgia. And does anybody know where Fort Valley is? Peach County? It's very ag heavy. It's a very poor community, Fort Valley is. At one point, Fort Valley was the poorest city in the state of Georgia. So I spent half my life there. I actually graduated from Peach County. And I also spent half my life in Hartwell. And the reason for that is, as I'll explain in the next slide, is my parents were divorced when I was a young age. So that aspect too. So you'll start to kind of connect the pieces, right? All right. I attended LaGrange College, and I chose my school based on sports. So like I was telling you all, like most of my life revolved around sports. All I wanted to be was a professional football player. I wanted to go on to be the next Russell Wilson, right? That was my drive, that was my focus. Every day I would get up at 5 o'clock, train, study. Football was my life. I also played basketball, ran track, played tennis. Everything was circled around sports. I didn't know what I wanted to be growing up. I just knew like I love sports and I also really cared about people. So while I was at LaGrange, my first major was physical therapy, like exercise science. So I wanted to be a physical therapist. But that changed, and I'll explain why it changed and so on and so forth. But life changes rapidly, okay? After I graduated, I went and served in the United States Peace Corps. By a show of hands, who all has heard of the Peace Corps? She knows now. So you have heard of the Peace Corps? Who did you hear from? Like,
I saw it on the movie.
you said you saw it in a movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the Peace Corps? Just from your perspective, what is the Peace Corps? You don't know? Oh, that's cool. That's why I'm here, right?
I had a teacher who went to the Peace Corps before he taught also.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to kind of tell you all a little bit about the Peace Corps. That's an opportunity to travel, to see the world, and it's completely paid for. Okay, you're not paid, you're a volunteer, however, it's a great opportunity. So I'll tell you a little bit about the Peace Corps. Okay, and I served in the Republic of Moldova. Show of hands. Who knows where Moldova is? Nobody? Cool. So y'all know where Europe is, correct? Russia invaded Ukraine. Y'all know about the war that's happening right now? Moldova is right next to Ukraine. So like I was right there where the war is happening. I spent a year there before COVID-19 and I was evacuated. I recently graduated from the University of Texas, so I just got my master's degree this past May. And I majored in global policy with a concentration of security, law, and diplomacy. Fancy stuff, I know, fancy degrees, but it doesn't mean much, but it's another sheet of paper that shows that I have the ability to learn and that I prioritize education. as I've told you all before, and I also, as Ms. Chapman pointed out, like while I was at the University of Texas, I was a teaching assistant. So I taught undergraduate students, okay, and I taught them international relations. As I was telling you before, I've traveled to 14 different countries, and this September, I will officially swear in as a United States diplomat. Does everyone know what a diplomat does? Okay, so you all, several of you have mentioned the Navy, right? You mentioned the Marines, the Air Force, the Army. That is the Department of Defense. But the U.S. government also has another security apparatus, and it's the Department of State, okay? And the Department of State's job is to hold up our relationships with different countries, to make sure that these relationships are positive, that we're understanding each other. So when something happens, like a fighter jet collides with another country's fighter jet, diplomats speak to the other government officials, and we make sure like everything's okay. You know, that wasn't an act of war. So if diplomats do their job correctly, we don't have to go to war to begin with. But us in the South and us in like rural parts of like the Midwest, the forgotten regions, we often don't know these careers even exist, but they do. So if you like people, I really recommend the Department of State. You're going to get to travel, as you said, and you're going to get to meet a lot of people. And they pay you pretty well, too. So I'll tell you a little bit about that, too. So next slide. So this is my family. The guy in the middle, you all probably know him as Coach Allen. You've probably seen him around. That's my sister, too, Kylie Brown. She goes here. I believe she's a sophomore. Sophomore, junior? Yeah, junior, sophomore. Okay, so yeah, that's my sister, and then that's my dad. And then to the right, or yeah, to you all's far right, that's my mom right there, Jessica Allen. My little nephews over here, you have Jace, who just turned 8 years old, and you have Braylon, who is the youngest. He is 3 years old, and we call him Pepe. For all my Mexicans out there, Pepe. This is his nickname. So my parents, and then that's my brother Sergio. He played at the University of Clemson. He just recently transferred to the University of California, Berkeley, where Marshawn Lynch and Aaron Rodgers play football. So he's a linebacker there. My parents separated when I was in the first grade, so they divorced. And so a good bit of my life I grew up in a single-parent household in the poorest city in the state of Georgia at the time. So a lot of my life was spent like seeing my mom struggle to pay the bills, right? You know, struggling to put food on the table for us, living in a like trailer home. Like we saw some stuff that, you know, you wouldn't want your child to normally see. However, I'm fortunate to say that my dad is still in my life. You know, a lot of people don't have their fathers, you know, but my dad was making an effort to try to see us. But, you know, full circle, you start to realize, like, man, I was really brought up into a disadvantaged environment, right? Started from the bottom and really ran all the way to the top. It's a part of, like, your story. All right, next. Oh, wait. Sorry, my apologies. And I can't miss this opportunity. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my brother. So this is Chavez. He passed away in 2014. He was a football player here, and he ran track. That was my older brother. Still is my older brother, right? Because they never truly passed. They live on through us. So he passed away in a car accident, and all of Hart County just kind of came together and loved on us. Coach Gaines knows him, you know, Principal Gaines knows him, and like, he was just a staple in our community, and he was gone too soon. So those are my identifiers, right? My family, you know, I grew up poor, single parent household, and I was also the first in my family to go off to college. I didn't know about the application process. Shoot, I didn't even get accepted into the University of Georgia, right? Yeah, I graduated top 10 in my class, but I didn't know about any of this stuff. I didn't even know, like, after you graduate college, you can actually go on to get your master's. I didn't even know what graduate school was. All this stuff I just happened to, you know, learn. And how I learned was talking to other people. You know, one thing led to another. So you have to, like, let life be life, you know, and just, like, continue to talk to people. Okay? Next. So like I was telling you all, 2 different areas. Peach County, Hart County. Fort Valley, Georgia, Hartwell, Georgia. So Fort Valley, Georgia was below the poverty line at the time, and they still are. It's a poorer area. It's predominantly African American. So I grew up in a like predominantly black area. And then I also spent my life in Hartwell. Hartwell is actually better off. It's like middle class, you know, upper and lower middle class. And so you all have computers, right? So you all have computers here, but in Hart County, or in Peach County, we had our, pen and paper, and then one printer for the entire school at times, right? The resources were not there. So I grew up in different environments, but one thing would remain constant. Wherever I went, I was able to adapt to the environment. I was a jock, right? I was a football player, so I was pretty popular. But that didn't stop me from speaking to band students. That didn't stop me from speaking to, the drama, the theater kids, right? Speak to everyone, especially in high school. Like once y'all cross that stage, most of the people in your class you're never gonna see again. And then like 2 years, 3 years down the road, you see people get arrested. They died, right? Life is so short. Value your friendships and those around you. Come together as a cohort and be there for each other. Okay, so that's high school, right? This was a guided period of my life. My mom and my dad would tell me what's right and what's wrong. That's what I really want to focus on right now. Like, so y'all are in high school right now. Your parents are guiding you. You're in their house, and they're telling you what's right and what's wrong. However, once you go to college, and put the next slide one more time. Once you go to college, you start to have say in your life. You start to develop your own sense of individuality. Like, who am I, right? Like, why am I even on this earth? And a lot of you said you didn't know what you wanted to be. Well, college is that opportunity to explore different career paths. It's a chance to participate and volunteer in different clubs and organizations. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to allow you to figure out what you like and you dislike. You remember when you were a kid, like, you tried vegetables and you were like, I don't like these. But that cake, that's where it's at, right? So it's the same thing with life, right? You might think you like something, or your mom and your dad or your uncle, right? They might be doing a business and you're like, yeah, that's what I want to do. But is that really what you want to do? You don't know until you actually do it. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. But what I'm saying is, like, be open to different opportunities. And if you're open to different opportunities, they will present themselves. So college was, I can't express it enough, a monumental time in my life. I also started to learn about networking. By a show of hands, who knows what networking is? Okay, what's networking? Okay, you talk to people, right? And what happens when you talk to people? They help you? Yeah, they help you. So who can be in your network? Is your teacher a part of your network? Right? So your teacher's job isn't just to give you A's and B's or to fail you. I know some of you all might think that and be like, why does this teacher give me a C? That's not your teacher's only job. Your teacher's job is to guide you, to show you different opportunities, to show you the sky really is the limit, but even that isn't your limitation, right? So that's the teacher's job. She's a part of your network, your principal. The doctor, whenever you go see them, like some of you all said you wanted to be doctors, maybe lawyers. Reach out to them, ask them how did they get to the position that they're in. A lot of times people want to help you, but they can't help you if you don't open your mouth. Ask questions. All right, so that was a little bit of college, and it also you see these different organizations that I was part of. The one to the right, that is the Black Males Initiative. And at the time, I was playing sports, like I was telling you all. My sole purpose when I was choosing my college, it was to play ball. I chose LaGrange College because that's where I could play football. They wanted me to play quarterback. So I chose LaGrange, not because of my major. Yes, I started off as an exercise science major. However, when I was there, not only was I just partying, right? I am a firm believer in moderation. I went out and partied, right? I had fun. College, that is a part of college, but it's not the only part, right? I also had 2 jobs. I was working while I was in school, but I was also a part of different clubs and different organizations while I also volunteered. So, when you go off to college or when you go to different places, no matter what you're doing, just make the most of the opportunities that you're given. So, I started off as an exercise science major, and then the 2016 presidential election happened. Y'all weren't old enough to vote yet, but do you remember the candidates? It was Hillary Clinton and Trump. And I just remember thinking, I don't really identify with either one of these, political candidates. What does America come to? I don't really agree with either one of them. So that kind of awoken something inside of me. So I became involved in like, activism, right? I wanted to speak out. College is where I gained my voice. I participated in like a neo-Nazi rally in Noonan, Georgia. And yeah, that one thing led to another, so I switched my major to political science.
Wait, you need to go back. You were against the neo-Nazis. You were not for them.
Yes.
That's right. Okay. That
Clarifying. All right, very. So I was like anti-neo-Nazi, right? So this is after the Charlottesville riot. I just automatically assumed, you are. Like, obviously, I'm not. They probably wouldn't want me. But anyways, yeah. So this is after the Charlottesville riot in Virginia, where one of the neo-Nazis, or I forget who it was, but they rammed their car into a bunch of like protesters. And this is the second rally after that. So we went to counter-protest the movement. But yeah, so that's college, right? This period of time, like it really, I was able to get away from my parents and really like find my own sense of like who I was. And what I'll tell you all is like Hartwell has done a lot for you all. However, step away. It doesn't matter if you're going to a trade school. College isn't the only route, although I really do advocate it for it, because once you get that piece of paper, it opens up doors. That's all it is. It's just a piece of paper. Literally, like that diploma is just a piece of paper. But what that does is it opens up so many opportunities, and it shows employers that you have the ability to learn. So it doesn't matter what you get it in. You can get it in like music, whatever. It's still a bachelor's degree. And like only a small fraction of the United States has bachelor's degrees. It is worth it. And there's different ways that you can get it paid for. You don't have to just go straight into like a 4-year program. Go to start Athens Tech. Start there. Do your core classes. Okay, it's cheaper, and then transfer over to like a place like UGA and so forth. But whenever you're looking for these programs, make sure you factor in like a big school like UGA. You're likely just going to be a number. There's thousands of students. When I went to the University of Texas for my master's, guess how many students were at UT? 50,000. 50,000 students. So you have to imagine each class is like 100, 200 students. But LaGrange College, my bachelor's degree, there was like less than 1,000. So what that did for me is I had smaller classes. There was only like 13, 14 students in the class. So you're able to build that personal relationship with your professor. They know your name. You're not just AB12000 or something like that, right? They actually know your name. And that means they're less likely to just fail you. They're going to tell you like, hey, like you've been slacking in class. Hey, you were asleep, right? They're going to be able to tell you that. Whereas, if you're in a bigger school, you can sit in the back. Like they have huge, UGA has huge classrooms. And you can fall asleep. They won't even notice. They won't care. They don't, I wouldn't say they don't care about your success or failure. But, I mean, you're just paying tuition. College is a business. So make sure you're choosing the right college. Do your research. Ask your teacher. Message me, DM me. Later on, I'm going to give you all my social media, my contact information. Use me. I am a resource to you all. Okay? So, before I move on from LaGrange, I just want to put in that this was the first time LaGrange College, they actually paid me to travel. So I actually flew for the very first time. Remember, I grew up in a single parent household. I didn't travel much. So they actually paid for me to fly to New York City for like a spring break. While other people were going to like Miami to party, spring break, I was going to like, it was like an alternate spring break. So they took us to different religious sites, right? They took us to a mosque. They took us to a Buddhist temple. And this was paid for, right? I grew up in the Bible Belt of the South. I had never, I kind of viewed Muslims negatively. But in college, it really kind of pushes up against what you're taught. It expands your mind, right? There is a reason why people believe what they do. And it's up to you all to not just accept what the media is telling you, what anyone is telling you for that matter. Like even me, challenge what I'm saying to you. As a human being, that's your right, especially as an American citizen. So that's what college did for me. It really does open your mind, and it gives you different ways of thinking about. Like you realize everybody isn't perfect. Everything isn't so black and white, like you were taught when you were little. Right, wrong. Yes, no. Your parents would pop you and stuff. There isn't really there's a lot of gray area, and you start to realize that. Next slide. Okay, so while I was in college, I met this guy by the name of Anton Flores, and this was because I was like volunteering. I was teaching English to Guatemalan immigrant children. And he told me, he was like, dude, have you ever thought about applying to become a Peace Corps volunteer? And I asked you all earlier to raise your hand if you knew what the Peace Corps was. And most of you all said no. The Peace Corps was founded in 1961 by a man by the name of John F. Kennedy. Everyone knows who JFK was? He was assassinated, right? So before he was assassinated, he actually started this organization, this agency. And the Peace Corps' goal is really in its name, right? To promote peace, promote global change, to give developing countries an equal shot at like improving their economy, improving their citizens' well-being. Okay, so as an English education volunteer, which is what I was, there's different sections of the Peace Corps. You have English educators, you have community organizers, and you also have like the health aspect of it. Some places, like you know how in the United States you can go to the restroom. Honestly, like I know it's not really like you don't want to do this, right? But if you go into the restroom and you get a cup and you open the tap and you pour water into a cup, you can drink it usually, right? The water's okay to drink. But in most countries, a lot of the developing countries, the water that it's not safe to drink. So the health organizers and stuff like that, they would help out with that issue. So yeah, I served in Moldova. So just a quick backtrack. Also when I was in high school, I did dual enrollment. So instead of like AP courses, I really do recommend you all do dual enrollment if you haven't already. So instead of graduating in 4 years, I graduated in 3 years with my bachelor's degree. It saved a lot of money because college is expensive, right? So if y'all haven't already, try to look into doing some of those courses. Okay, so after I graduated college, 2 weeks after that, remember, the only time I had traveled outside of the country was to the Yucatan in Mexico. The college paid for me to study abroad. And I was only there for 10 days. So after I graduated, 2 weeks afterwards, I was on a plane to Eastern Europe. And I explained where Moldova was. I was supposed to be there for 2 years. So when I tell you all, I was homesick when I first got there. I was scared, right? I had never really left my country for that long of a period. Over there, they spoke Romanian. I speak English, right? I speak a little bit of Spanish. I can carry a conversation, I can understand. But I didn't really speak any other languages. So when I first got there, when I tell you all the first 2 months were difficult, I'm not playing. Culture shock is real. And what I'm going to tell you all is, like, I was frustrated because I would go to a store, right? Let's say you go to Walmart, right? They have smaller stores. And I was in, like, these remote villages. They only had, like, 2,000 people. And I would, a basic thing, right? I wanted some water. I couldn't say it. So what I'm telling you all is whenever you see, like, an immigrant or you see someone that can't speak English, do not get upset with them. Because until you travel outside of your country, you don't realize how hard it is to be in their position. To not know the language and then still like try to live in that country. It's difficult. So be patient with them, try to understand them, try to speak to them, right? There's different ways to communicate with people. Yes, you can do it orally, but how I got around and how I spoke to people was, right? I played football, I played basketball. So I spoke to the kids through sports. Started different basketball organizations. Music, we share different music. You have to remember too that Eastern Europe, it was once a part of the Soviet Union. So they were very it was just a lot of white people. And I was a person of color going over there. And like my hair's curly, so I was like a zoo exhibit. Whenever people saw me, they were like following me. Men would like shake my hand and just hold on to it and try to pull me inside of their house to drink wine with them. It was so different. People would hand me their babies. They would, on the marshrukas, which is like a van, so that's their public transportation. We don't understand how good we have it. They would have these little vans and have a ton of people on them. And then you would see they're one of those societies where depending on how old you are, that's the respect that you're given. So the older ladies, they would be called they're called babushkas. Those are your grandmas. When they approach you and they hit you, you're supposed to give up and give them your seat. They just come up and just boom, not say anything. So it was a culture shock is what I'm trying to say is. And I had to adapt to that. But if I hadn't left the country and I hadn't been put in that position, I would have never grown, right? So a lot happened because of that. And last thing I'll say about this organization is I got to meet the ambassador. By a show of hands, who knows what an ambassador is? Or let alone like an embassy. Does anyone know what an embassy is? So in every country that you travel to, America has a presence. Except if you go to like North Korea, you go to Iran, we do not have diplomatic relationships with them. And we advise Americans do not travel there. Because likely they're going to hold you captive, and then Americans are going to have to negotiate for you to come back. Like, for instance, right, Brittany Griner lately. We've been having issues with Russia. You know, obviously they invaded Ukraine. Brittany Griner was detained. Do you know who helped negotiate her to come back to the United States? For her to come back to the United States? Not only was it the President of the United States, the State Department leads that. Diplomats lead that.
Did she come back already?
She has come back
Okay.
safely. And what happened was, you know, we traded people, and we let someone go that, I don't know if it was,
Like somebody from prison?
it was it was a prisoner swap kind of, but they got a lot more, and it's a very like political issue. But yeah, long story to say this, you know, like the Department of State does a lot of stuff that you all kind of don't know. But embassies, so basically whenever you go to a country, you travel there. If they try to arrest you, the State Department will send an official to like basically speak for you to like be free. Or let's say if you spend all your money, you can't get home. You go to the embassy, and the embassy will basically give you like a loan, and obviously you have to pay it back once you're back, and they'll fly you back to the U.S. So in every country that we have diplomatic relations with which is most countries, embassies and consulates are the ones who are in charge of that. And they also help people immigrate to the United States legally. And they're the everyone who has a passport in here, they do the passports and everything too. So what I really recommend for you all to do is once you're 18, you know, save up, get a passport. That's going to give you opportunities, right, to travel abroad. So that's a Peace Corps. I met the ambassador, and then this guy told me, once again, networking, right? The ambassador is the equivalent of the president in that nation, because they are chosen and selected by the President of the United States to represent the United States government abroad. So that's the highest government official whenever you go to different countries. You have the ambassador of that country. So the ambassador came and he had lunch with a few of the Peace Corps volunteers. And when I met him, his name was Derek Hogan. He was one of only 4 or 5 African American ambassadors. That few. Like the State Department is in like 170 different countries. There was only 4 or 5 African American ambassadors, right? But this guy told me, of these different opportunities that were available. Fellowships that the State Department had that would pay for my master's degree, and that would like give me these different opportunities to travel, to see the world, to experience different cultures, to learn different languages, to try different food, right? I kid you not though, when I was younger, I did not like trying different food. I like pizza, I like burgers, I like chicken strips. However, my palate, right, your taste buds, they have changed because I was open to trying different things. You all have to be open to trying different things because, you know, you grow and you change. All right, but yeah, he told me these fellowships right before a little event happened, right? Does everybody remember COVID-19? You can hit the next slide. COVID-19. So when that happened, I was actually abroad. I was actually in Cyprus. And we started hearing about the coronavirus back in like December of 2019. They didn't really announce it to the rest of the world until like April. So there I was abroad, and we were getting news that they might close down the entire country, and no one could leave. We were going to be trapped inside Moldova during the pandemic. So the embassy there in Chisinau, which is the capital of Moldova, they were working on trying to get us a charter flight out of Moldova. Okay? So they rounded us all up. We had to say goodbye to our host families, because when I was in Moldova, that's another part of the Peace Corps. You live with the host family. So at all hours of the day, like, the host family has access to you. And there's a lot of stereotypes, right? For Americans, they think we're all rich. People abroad think we all have the newest iPhones, we have nice cars, nice homes, but they don't realize, like, there are some of us that are barely getting by, right? You know, there's a lot of homeless here, right? So, as Peace Corps volunteers, it's not only our job to experience their culture, but it's also to expose them to, like, real Americans, right? Every time I went up to somebody, they assumed I was from Africa. Like, you know, you're not America. American, you're African. I'm like, no, I'm American. So that's what the Peace Corps does, right? It kind of gives them experience of dealing with Americans too, okay? But yeah, COVID-19 happened and I was back home. So while I was abroad with the Peace Corps, I got to travel to Paris, France, Amsterdam, the Netherlands, right? Brussels, Belgium. Went to Cyprus, I was telling you all. Everyone hear about the guy, the vampire, what is it? The vampire like from Romania. Dracula, yeah. I got to go to Dracula's castle in Romania, right?
In Transylvania?
In Transylvania.
Is it in Transylvania?
Or it's actually in a different place. They just kind of sell that to you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I got to experience all of that. So it was like a crazy adventure. And then, you know, this little kid, you know, from a rural town, got to travel the world, and then I was back in Georgia. I was depressed. I was sad. But that period of time really, like, they felt like the United States was also exploding, because not only did you have COVID-19, George Floyd was killed. So once again, that political activist in me, like, woke up, and going back really quickly.
Sorry.
I was meeting with sheriffs, with police, to kind of hear their side of the story. So I keep kind of pushing on this, like, whatever you all see in the media, don't immediately get fired up and mad about it. Look it up on the internet, read. There's always two sides of every story. Like, the media is gonna spin it to their agenda, right? The left and the right, CNN and Fox. Read between the lines. Like, the thing that you all still aren't getting in school, which is what you need in life, isn't just these facts and these dates, isn't math, right? Pre-calculus, calculus, although there's a place for those, but most times in life you're not gonna use them. It's critical thinking. You need to know how to think. That's the purpose of education. Alright? So, got back to Georgia, and I did apply to those fellowships like the ambassador told me, but in the meantime I was pretty depressed. But I also was able to start my own business. I became a life insurance broker. So, you know, you all was telling me about real estate, well, I was doing it for life insurance. So I did get to start my own business. But fortunately, I applied to both the Pickering and the Wrangell fellowships, which are different graduate programs, fellowships through the State Department, and both of them selected me as a finalist. Now, thousands apply, only 45 are selected throughout the entire United States. And I was one of those 45. Little old me from Fort Valley and Hartwell, Georgia. They selected me. So they were gonna pay, so you can go to the next slide. This fellowship paid for my master's degree. You can hit it one more time. They paid for my master's degree. They gave me 2 internship opportunities in Washington, D.C. and also in Saudi Arabia. And you also get mentors. I keep telling you all the importance of having mentors, people that have been where you're trying to go. So I have 2 mentors and I speak to them all the time. It also gave me a stipend. Every year they would give me $18,000 just to spend, like on living expenses, right? Rent, utilities, so on and so forth, right? You're an adult and you have expenses. So this fellowship, very prestigious, and afterwards I'm gonna give you all like my social media handle. Y'all can just DM me if you're interested. But it also gives you a career in the foreign service. You become a diplomat. You get the black passport. And what a black passport does is normal passports are blue, but diplomats' passports are black. And it allows you to, basically when you're in another country, you gain diplomatic immunity, which means that country can't really like arrest you, they have to send you back to the United States. And also when you go through security, they can't necessarily check you because you're a diplomat. So it kind of puts you in a different...
VIP treatment.
Yeah, the VIP treatment. It's a really nice career. So yeah, I could have selected any university that I wanted to in the U.S., you know, applying to it because this is a pretty prestigious fellowship. But I ended up choosing the University of Texas.
What did you have to do to apply for that?
You go to their website. So 1, you need to be an American citizen. That's the first requirement. But 2, you need to have a certain GPA while you're in college. So you need to have at least a bachelor's degree to apply. And then there's like a few other minor qualifications, but those are the top 2 or 3.
Did you write an essay?
I didn't. I had to write like a personal statement, you know, why I wanted this. And then, you know, from there, it takes a few months and they select the finalists, and then you interview for it. And it's a whole ordeal, but we got a little bit of time. We got 15 minutes, so I'm trying to speed up for you all. Next slide. So I chose the University of Texas. You can hit it one more time. And the same thing, networking, meeting people, you're going to see that there's a pattern, right? People aren't successful just, they don't just appear like out of nowhere. It takes work, but it also takes just networking. I was told in life, like early, right? You hear from the old heads, It's not about what you know, right? It's not about these facts, the dates, all of that. It's about who you know. And it really does ring true. The more people you know, the more opportunities that present themselves. So be nice to everyone. Have those conversations. While I was at the University of Texas, I actually met this lady right here. And her name is Condoleezza Rice. She was the Secretary of State under President Bush. And like, I just can't express, like, just looking at that picture, you just see, right, someone that came from the bottom and just like meeting this lady who has done like what I want to do right in the future. She was, I think the Secretary of State is third in line for the presidency. An African American woman, right, that has broken barriers for people like us. All right, next slide. And so this is the most important part, right? So why does any of this even matter, right? Okay, cool. You're some guy, yeah, you say you're from Hartwell, right? You say you're from Fort Valley, yeah, you came from the bottom, and you've done all this stuff. Why does it even matter? So I'm gonna give you all just some tips, tricks, and advice that I've learned over the years, right? 7 years ago, I was sitting in the same seats as you all. So the first is like, imposter syndrome. There's a lot of times where I'm in these higher places and I'm meeting these people like Secretary of State, and I feel inadequate. How many of you all scroll through social media and you see like people that, they're so pretty and you like glorify them, like, man, I want to be this person, By show of hands, how many of you all do that? Like, you get on social media and you see really, really pretty people and you're just like, man, I just don't feel like I'm enough. You don't have to raise your hand. Okay, cool. Thank you for being honest, right? We all do. And it's because social media has convinced us that, you're supposed to be perfect. But the truth is we all have flaws. And we're all insecure in some manner. So what I'm telling you all to do is like every day, look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself words of affirmation. Talk positively to yourself. You need to be your biggest critic, yeah. You need to get on to yourself and hold yourself accountable. But you also need to be your biggest fan, biggest hype man or woman. Right? Love yourself. You are enough. Second, we've talked about it a lot, the power of networking and knowing people. I won't cover that one. But yeah, just make sure everyone that you meet, build that personal relationship, really get to know them, and just understand that later on in life you might need them. Do not burn bridges just because of short-term emotions. Do not burn bridges. At any point you could need that person. So be careful with your words. Your words are powerful. Prioritizing and planning. Basically, you don't have to have everything planned out. You don't have to have your entire life mapped out. The reason why I'm going to tell you that is because, yeah, you can have a plan, but life changes, right? Life changes very quickly, so just be able to adapt. Don't go through life without a plan. You need to have an idea of what you want to do. And speak to people to help you get to that position you want to be. Friends. Choose wisely, as J. Cole said, right? I'm a big J. Cole fan. Friends can either bring you up or they can pull you down. Choose them wisely, because in a few years they can pull you down. You can get arrested because of them, or they can build you up and they can pull you with you. But just what I'm trying to say is who you all have closest to you, it matters. Choose friends that are more successful to you. My athletes in the room. When you roll with people that are slower than you, what happens? You don't get any faster. What do you have to do? You have to roll with people that are faster than you. When you lift weights, if you're just lifting the same weights every day, are you going to get any stronger? No. You get stronger by what? Iron sharpens iron. You should be the weakest link in your friend group. That way you get better as a person by being around them, by being around their presence. And also, your friends should not be parrots that just go with whatever you say. They should hold you accountable. If you mess up, they should tell you you're messing up. Well, oftentimes our best friends are just always, agreeing with us. Yeah, that's my boy. It's my girlfriend, right? No, your friends should hold you accountable and they should lift you up. Become comfortable being uncomfortable. And I've already kind of said this, when I was on a plane, right? Being on planes, I'm terrified of. However, they've allowed me to see some of the most beautiful places in the world, and also meet some amazing people. Oftentimes, what we realize in life is outside of our fears, once you overcome your fears, something beautiful comes from it. But also, life is like a pond, right? You jump, so if you're a big fish in a small pond, are you able to grow? Not really. You have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone to really grow. The best thing in life, it comes from outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, you might be afraid to leave mom and dad, but you need to leave mom and dad to be able to grow. Okay? The best thing in life comes outside of those comfort zones. Illusion of failure. And we're almost wrapped up, guys and girls. The illusion of failure. When you're a little kid, and you remember crawling? By show of hands, who remembers crawling? And then what happened? You tried to walk. What happened when you tried to walk? What? You fell down, right? But what did you do as a kid? You got back up. And then what happened? You fell again, right? And you tried to do it again. Life is the same way. But as kids and as you get to high school and college, you start to be harder on yourself. You don't want to fall down. But I want you all to embrace being a kid. Embrace falling down, failing. When you start your first business, it's likely not going to be a success right away. And it goes into perseverance versus instant gratification. Anything worth having in life is going to take some hardship and adversity. Understand that. There's going to be some really, really highs, and there's going to be some really lows, right? So whenever you're high, just understand that you're not going to be high forever. And when you're low, understand that, hey, it's going to be up again, right? So just understand that life has highs and lows and run with it. Okay? But failure is not failure unless you just give up. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep pushing. Trying new things, I already kind of touched that, so we won't go into it. And then you have perseverance versus instant gratification. We covered that. Lastly, your life equals your responsibility. You come into this world alone. Yeah, you see your parents, when you're first born. But you came in alone. And guess what? You're going to leave this world alone. So that means that all of you all who kind of blame someone else, yeah, man, it's my friend, man, so on and so forth. Man, my parent, I blame them. No, blame yourself. This life is everything you want it to be. But after you graduate, it's in your hands. You can't blame anybody but yourself. If you're not where you want to be in life, that's on you. If your relationship isn't working, that's on you. It's not your partner's fault. It's yours. Your happiness is your responsibility. Okay, y'all? So understand, your life equals your responsibility. And you can go to the best places, but only you can take yourself there. Nobody else can do it for you. You got to want to get up in the morning. I know it feels good to sleep. But if you don't get out of the bed, what's going to happen? Nothing's going to change in your life. All right? Next slide. All right? And then I already told you all what a privilege it is to live in this great country. There's a reason why people die to be here. Do not take this opportunity for granted. Some of you all sleep in class. Well, guess what's going to happen? I can't say it enough, man. I've seen friends that they're just in the same loop, right? They go to the liquor store, they go to the same party, and it's just an endless cycle, Really, take advantage of this opportunity of living in the land of the free and the home of the brave. The land of opportunities. Every 5 years, every day you can reinvent yourself. You can try something new. If you fail, remember, get back up and try to walk again. This is the United States of America. And that's the American dream. To me, you all. For real. Every one of y'all. Next slide. If y'all want to, Ms. Chapman is giving y'all the permission. You can scan the QR code and follow me on Instagram. I also can give her my email if you don't feel comfortable doing that, or my direct phone number. Y'all hit me up, talk to me. This next section, you can ask me questions. It's 7 minutes. But feel free to ask me any questions that you all might have about graduating, about college, about family problems, anything. And if you don't feel comfortable asking me now, message me later, all right? So feel free to scan the QR code and follow me, or write down my username too. All right, and with that, you can hit the last slide. I have 2 more slides. This is me in Saudi Arabia, so they wear the shmuk, which is a red thing. And then you have, forget the name of it, I'm blanking on the word, but the white thing. So traditional attire, and also these are some Saudi citizens right here.
So you're not in this picture?
Yes, that's me right there. This is me. I just had my facial hair grown out, and I look like one of them. You blend in with the cultures. One more. All right, so this is the Burj Khalifa. Like I was telling you all, I'm afraid of heights. I went to the top of this. 154 floors. And I went to the very top, and I was scared. I was in the elevator with my eyes closed. It's in Dubai. Yeah, it's the tallest building in the world.
Can you see how high you're getting?
You can. So I was fortunate, right? But I didn't know that at first. That's why I was closing my eyes. Yeah, but it's in like Mission Impossible, like Tom Cruise jumps off of it or whatever. It's beautiful. And then the one to the right of that is Cologne, Germany. It's a big cathedral. I'm blanking on the name, but it's in Cologne, Germany. Obviously the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And then the last photo is the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, Turkey. So, yeah, I am a resource for you all. Use me. Your future is bright, okay? Take advantage of living in America and make the most of your opportunities. Hold your family close, but understand this is your life and it's your responsibility. Cool? Any questions for me? Thank y'all for being such a good audience, for real. And